Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate with Corina Cisneros. Today's show is sponsored by Blue Water Mortgage, Summit Title, Allstate Insurance, Dana Gunnarsson Agent, and the Cisneros Realty Group, led by Corina Cisneros and powered by eXp Realty. It's time now to join our host, Corina, and Let's Talk Real Estate on 101.5 WEEI Sports Radio, Lakes Region.
And good Saturday morning. My name is Corina Cisneros, Realtor with the Cisneros Realty Group, powered by eXp Realty. Our show focuses on all aspects of real estate, and in the next 30 minutes, we'll share with you important information that will help you with either buying or selling your home. Today, we have a very special guest, Matt Johnson, shareholder at Divine, Millamant and Branch, also counsel to the New Hampshire Realtors. Welcome, Matt, to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Matt, one of the great things about being a realtor in New Hampshire is that we have a phenomenal standard purchase and sale agreement that, in my experience, works really, really well. But before we get into some details to illustrate to our listeners why it's important to use a standard contract, tell us why you think it's important.
I think it's important for several reasons. First, there is a desire by the New Hampshire Realtors to create a standard form so that you could have transactions that do not require each side to hire an independent residential real estate attorney. Second, we do it so that the playing field is consistent and level to the best of our ability, so that the agreements are generally fair and even between the buyers and the sellers. We feel like that creates a better real estate market and hopefully cuts down on litigation and disputes.
And has it?
We'd like to think so. Statistically, the number of claims and disputes in New Hampshire is less than many states. There's many states that are far more litigious when it comes to real estate transactions in New Hampshire. Many states, you really cannot do a residential real estate transaction without both sides having lawyers who then are going to customize their form residential contracts, which just, we believe, adds cost and delay to the transactions, which is not necessary.
The contract has 20 or 19 clauses. Which do you think are the top 3 or 4 that we can focus on today and explain to our listeners why they are important?
Absolutely. So you are correct. Not all clauses are created equal. If you wanted me to tell you the top 3, the first one I would say would be clause number 14, which is the home inspection contingency clause. That has been modified relatively recently by the New Hampshire Realtors, and that is the area where I often see the most level of disagreement. This, of course, is the section of the contract that talks about when a buyer, after making an offer that has been signed, has the ability to inspect the property, and then how you go about resolving disputes between the two parties as to what maybe should be fixed or not fixed, whether repairs are done, whether the seller provides some money instead of the repairs. But this all lays out the options for the buyer and seller in significant detail, and we've added to that detail over time because this has been such an important piece of the contract.
Absolutely, you're correct. For our listeners, the inspection items that are typically on this agreement are a general building inspection, sewage disposal, especially if you have a septic system, water quality, radon air quality, radon water quality. There's also lead paint, pests, and hazardous waste. That would be clause number 14. There's a sister clause to that right after that. So if the first one is dedicated to home inspections, the next one is clause 15, which talks about due diligence. So let's talk about that one.
Due diligence is very important as well, and that provision has been expanded over time as other issues have come in, particularly relative to condominiums. And again, that is a clause that buyers in particular should not gloss over or skim over. This is an area you should talk to your agent and get some counseling in terms of what you should look at. This gives the buyer an opportunity to check to make sure, are there restrictions on the deed? Is there a homeowners association with certain rules and limits? These are all ways that you can make sure that you come into a deal fully informed and with your eyes wide open as to what happens. If the buyer does not elect to seek or do this due diligence, then the buyer does not have much to complain about if something happens after the closing relative to one of these issues that they were not aware of. So this is really the buyer's opportunity to make sure that they are buying what they think they're buying and the use of the property is consistent with what they intend.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Matt. The due diligence items on the agreement is restrictive covenants of record, especially for associations, for example, easements of record / deed, park rules and regulations if you're buying a property in a park, condominium documentation, co-op, PUD association documents, availability of property and casualty insurance, and availability and cost of flood insurance. In both cases of inspection and due diligence, the agreement clearly states the agreement is contingent upon buyer's satisfactory review of these items. So it's time to take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with Matt to talk about financing, the property included clause, and the effective date. And remember, you can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Google Play, or find us on Facebook. We'll be right back with more Let's Talk Real Estate on 101.5 WEEI Sports Radio Lakes Region.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our
With the purchase of a new home, you have a lot of choices in homeowner insurance. Working with a local professional to get the right insurance for your home and family is essential. Protect your home with Allstate Insurance and use your local agent, Dana Gunnarsson. Dana is local to the Lakes region and takes the worry out of homeowner insurance. She handles everything from start to finish, working directly with your mortgage lender. She customizes a policy that fits your budget and your needs. Contact Dana directly at 630-9754. You're in good hands with Allstate and Dana Gunnarsson.
Buying and selling real estate is hard, but it doesn't have to be when you partner with an agent that has a proven track record of success. The Cisneros Realty Group, led by Corina Cisneros and powered by eXp Realty, helps you fulfill your homeownership dreams through a caring and trusting relationship. They provide exceptional service and advocate for your best interests. The Cisneros Realty Group is your trusted real estate advisor, creating a long-standing relationship now and in the future.
Hi, this is Corina Cisneros. For many years, clients have been putting their trust in me and my full service team. We dedicate ourselves to getting you the most for your home. Remember my name, Corina, like the song. Corina, Corina.
Turbocharge the sale or purchase of your home with the professionals at the Cisneros Realty Group, led by Corina Cisneros and powered by eXp Realty. 6 Loud Road, Concord, New Hampshire. Experience and integrity you can trust. The Cisneros Realty Group. Online at NHLakesHomes.com.
When you purchase or refinance your home, you have a choice in who takes care of your title, deed work, and the closing. Summit Title has earned a reputation for accuracy, dependability, timeliness, and flexibility. They work with you on your timetable to ensure a smooth closing regardless of the complexities that may be involved. When your loan officer or real estate professional asks you who you want to use for your closing, tell them you want Summit Title. You have a choice. Learn more at stscorp.com. Summit Title Services, your closing resource in New Hampshire, Maine, and Massachusetts.
This is Let's Talk Real Estate with Corina Cisneros on 101.5 WEEI Sports Radio Lakes Region. Once again, here's Corina.
And we are back with Matt Johnson from Divine, Millement and Branch, counsel to the New Hampshire Association of Realtors. We're talking about the New Hampshire Realtor Association purchase and sale agreement and some of the clauses which allow us to have smooth transactions. Matt, let's talk about the financing clause. Why do we need that, and what could go wrong if we don't have that?
Financing clause is critically important because most buyers need financing from a bank or other financial institution to be able to have the money to complete the transaction. So unless this is a cash transaction, the buyers need to get financing, and the buyers need a period of time to make sure they qualify for financing. So what this agreement does is that it gives the buyers a period of time, and then it gives the buyers an out, a way to get out and get their deposit back if they cannot qualify for financing. But importantly, time is of the essence, which means the buyers need to act diligently and they need to adhere strictly to all the deadlines set forth in that paragraph. Otherwise, they risk losing their deposit.
Let's talk about included property. There's a clause here that specifies what's included in the sale. So tell us about that clause.
That is an important aspect of the deal. Interestingly, I have found that often some of the hot-button issues are what stays or goes with the property. And here's an area where you can fill that in. Buyers should not rely on information in a listing sheet about what's going with the property. If the buyers want an item to go with the property, they should specify it, and here's a section where they can do it. If it's the washer and dryers, or if it's particular customized window treatments, a basement bar, any of those items, if they want it to go with the transaction, specify it and put it in the contract. Otherwise, there can be a big fight at the end over whether it stays or goes.
Can you give us a quick example where it was a disaster because it wasn't specified or used properly?
I've seen Superior Court litigation where everyone had lawyers and spent way too much money on lawyers, all because the basic dispute was over whether window treatments were or were not part of the transaction. And there's a whole Superior Court opinion that boiled down to whether the parties had reached agreement, and the whole issue was whether they had agreed on the window treatments.
Okay.
That could have been avoided if those words had been put in the agreement, but they weren't.
Let's talk about effective date. Why is the effective date so critical in this agreement, and where do you see this on the contract?
So the effective date section is in paragraph 21. When they look at it, that there's a whole host of dates and deadlines, and the effective date is the starting point for how you calculate those deadlines. So it's important for the realtors and the parties to determine the effective date, because that again then gives you a timeline for the transaction, and so everybody can be on the same page and know exactly when items under the agreement are due. For example, if you have 10 days to do your inspections, the effective date gives you the start date for when that 10 days starts to run.
This is fantastic. I, as a realtor, one of the things I enjoy most about being a realtor is using this purchase and sale agreement. I don't know how we could conduct business without it. What do you think are the next couple of things that may be coming down in the future to make this agreement even better for both buyers and sellers?
I think you may see even more disclosure information on the purchase and sale agreement, because the state continues to add regulations and duties on buyers and sellers of real estate that have not always been there. So I suspect that will be coming down the pike, and I suspect there may be even more wire fraud notice and warnings, because that is an issue, and cyber fraud is an issue that does not appear to be going away, and in many ways it's just getting worse. So
okay, well, thank you very much for making a very difficult subject perhaps easier to understand for all of us. Matt, thank you so much for your time. Matthew Johnson is counsel to the New Hampshire Association of Realtors and a shareholder at Divine, Miliment, and Branch. Matt, would you come back later on a couple more shows in the future just to talk a little bit more about some other subjects?
well, I'd be happy to.
Okay, thank you very much. And it's time to take a break. And you're listening to Corina Cisneros on WEEI 101.5 Sports Radio Lakes Region.